You guys got to tell me why everybody's turned against Kevin Hart. It's funny to me because I was never a big Kevin Hart guy. I mean, that's well documented. I always thought Kevin was funny, but I think Kevin was almost like a last man standing. So if we go back in the 2000s, Dave Chappelle ended the Chappelle show and he disappeared. And Katt Williams, there was Kevin Hart. Katt Williams should have had next. He had his own issues, but then Hollywood turned their backs on Katt. So that left Kevin. And Kevin had his 2 films that he financed. Well, Let Me Explain and Now What. He filmed them himself, put them in theaters. They made a lot of money. And then Kevin became Eddie Murphy. I mean, he's not Eddie Murphy, but he became that dude. And he made all those films with The Rock. What was it? Jumanji, Central Intelligence, Get Hard with Will Ferrell. So he made a bunch of movies. He was still doing stand-up. People was going to his stand-up. That's why it's weird. Like in the comments now, people saying, well, he's overexposed. Not in 2026. Like, yeah, 2016, definitely he was overexposed, but not now. So I guess it had to be because of this Netflix roast, and maybe selling his brand. So I didn't see the Netflix roast, but what I gather, people were not happy. And here's the thing about roasts. And because Kevin defended the roast on Instagram. I would defend the roast, not his roast. I would defend the roast on this basis. Roasts are horrible. Roasts should never be televised. I would read these things. Oh yeah, the roasts back in the day were not as bad. Yes, they were. Those Dean Martin roasts that they had on TV were sanitized versions of what roasts really are. If you watched, because they did not allow any cameras. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, no cameras. So you could be racist, you could be sexist, and no one knew a thing. That's what roasts were. And so this roast with Kevin Hart seemingly was bad, but probably not nearly as bad as they used to be. Now, there's a couple of guys that I do question why they were there. I don't understand the popularity of Shane Gillis. He's not horrible, but I just don't think he's funny. Tony Hinchcliffe, I don't even know why he's a thing. The WWE, when they have WrestleMania, they have a roast for that WrestleMania weekend, and they bring him every year. And he just says a lot of, I'm not saying he's racist, but he says a lot of stuff, man, that's racist, it's not even funny. Like, it's just bad. It's just bad, unfunny jokes. I guess at the Hart roast, he did a joke about George Floyd that landed flat. See, the guys like Kevin Hinchcliffe, I guess that's when you're a stand-up comedian, you shouldn't change your act too much. Like Cedric Entertainer, I remember he said, like, he doesn't change his act for his audience. But Cedric, his type of humor kind of relates to everybody. Tony Hinchcliffe, where he's on the edge all the time. If you're doing a roast with Kevin Hart and your audience is mostly black folks, I don't think doing a joke about George Floyd should not be part of your stand-up. That doesn't make any sense. But again, I don't like the guy. I guess he's part of this politically incorrect group, him, Shane Gillis, where it's like his audience feels like, yeah, say what you want, be sexist, be racist. Just saying, yeah, but you're not funny. That's the thing. Andrew Dice Clay was funny. None of these guys are Dice Clay. So a lot of people have taken aim at Kevin Hart. I think Pete Davidson was at that roast, and I don't hate Pete, but I never thought Pete was that funny. But Kevin defended the roast, and people were against that. And then Kevin sold his likeness to authentic brands, and people question that. I question that because authentic brands, they usually deal with dead celebrities like Elvis, Marilyn Monroe, Muhammad Ali. That's usually, they take care of the marketing of dead celebrities. Kevin's very much alive, so I don't know if Kevin is losing money, because I know his companies are not doing well right now. His media companies are not doing any well, so maybe he needed the money. Maybe he's just cashing out because he knows he's not that guy any longer, even though there's not really a black comedian really that's filled that slot as of late. So that slot is open. There's some funny black comedians out there, but there's nobody in that same realm as Chappelle or Eddie Murphy. And maybe, just maybe, I think Kevin benefited because Dave Chappelle was gone and Katt Williams was MIA. They blackballed Katt Williams. But during this probably since the pandemic or even before that, Dave Chappelle came back with his Netflix specials. And Dave, he was always a truth teller, but he became more of a truth teller, an unapologetic truth teller. So Dave was back in the picture. And Katt Williams, Katt continued to tour. And he was doing fine. And then he goes on Club Shay Shay, and his interview blows up. And everybody loves Katt Williams. And again, Katt Williams is a very authentic type person. And maybe there's an inauthenticity about Kevin Hart. I don't think he's a bad guy, but maybe people see more of a truth teller in Katt Williams and Dave Chappelle, and people want that more in their comedians. And maybe I seen this comment too, like people still feel like Kevin doesn't give enough love to his first wife, right? That his first wife was a key to his early success. And I think there's some truth to that. I think Kevin did the work, but his first wife, is funny too. And I think with her, she might have helped him write some of the jokes. He might have had the thing where he did his stand-up in front of her, and if she laughed at something, he would keep it in. And if she didn't laugh, he would retooled it or got rid of it. But I think he had a person in his life with his first wife who understood him, understood his comedy, and either helped writing some of his stuff or being the audience he needed for the right jokes for his stand-ups. And again, his marriage didn't work out. Like, they got divorced. He married the second wife, but clearly the second wife is not nearly as funny as the first wife. She might be hot, but I don't think she has a comedic bone in her body. So just because he doesn't have that sounding board like he has with his first wife, and that's the one thing that I wish Kevin had that The Rock has. The Rock is remarried, but him and his first wife are business partners. They've always been business partners. Those business partners when they got married. No, they were married, and then when they started his companies, they became business partners. And when he got divorced, they were business partners. And when he got remarried, they were business partners because he trusts his ex-wife Danny. And I almost feel like I wish Kevin kind of would have done the same thing with his first wife. I don't think, I don't know in black couples that would work. I don't know, because even the first wife, he will hate the second wife, and the second wife will hate the first wife. I don't know, but I don't know. So you guys tell me, do all of a sudden, do you hate Kevin Hart now? Because don't give me this thing that you don't think he's funny, because I'm the only person to say I don't think he was funny. But if you don't think he's funny now, why do you not think he's funny? And if you saw the roast, how bad was it? And moving forward, comedians, let Kevin Hart be a cautionary tale. Stop with these roasts, man, because the backlash is not great.